these new systems or platforms. So just some of the common goals of digital transformation. Okay, there can be many reasons why we would want to run a digital transformation program, and these are just some of the common goals which are generally available or which most organizations to state when they start off their digital transformation. So they talk about driving the innovation. They talk about promoting efficiency and agility in their delivery, especially delivery around IT services and products. Okay, they talk about quick and fast and high quality decision making. They talk about alignment between their strategy and the overall technology spend. Okay, IT is famous for being a cost center. Okay, and doing nothing but spending money. But now with digital transformation and so on, there are even times where new revenue channels are now available via digital transformation. Okay, and lastly, but not least importantly, is of course security. Okay, so digital transformation programs are well known, but at the same time, as can be shown over here, a lot of consulting companies have gone out there and done their research and so on. And basically, as much as 75% of digital transformation programs fail. Okay, now why is that the case? So basically, from me talking to clients and also looking and doing some research and so forth, okay, in the end, what I discovered was this is basically one of the challenges which any organization would face. Okay, in terms of an architecture, this would be actually a very good representation of many organizations out there. Okay, first off, we start off with the company strategy. The company strategy would typically be in the form of a PowerPoint or Excel sheet format. Okay, business capabilities or the value chain of the organization is also stored in Excel. Then we have information such as what is their existing landscape, what current applications do they have, whether they have any standards. Okay, then they have system inventories, they have financial information, they have process information. So some organizations might have all of this. Some of them might have bits and pieces of it. Some of it is consumed by the business side of the organization. Some of it is consumed by the IT side. Especially on the IT side, the IT will rely on systems like a CMDB, a configuration management database, which in turn would feed the inventory and other related systems in an organization. So I think most of you can relate to this. Okay, so the challenge is um, what happens is anytime you want to retrieve information, it depends on who you talk to in the organization, which system you access, or probably the information does not even exist at all. Okay, so this is again one of the major factors why digital transformation programs have trouble getting off the ground and running successfully. Is because most organizations operate in a silo mindset, and also that information is spread out through the organization and no one really has a central view of everything. So to sum it up, essentially there are three main areas or categories, if you want to call it that, okay, which brings up the challenges of digital transformation. First of all, is they do not know what the existing landscape is. Okay, the amount of knowledge or the amount of visibility is limited. The next problem is in their business and IT planning. Okay, business planning is often separate from IT planning. Okay, and so what happens is business and IT are not really communicating often with each other, and as a result, business does not really understand or know what IT is doing, and vice versa. And so IT cannot support business because they don't really understand what the business strategy is. And lastly, that leads to a very poor business and IT relationship. Okay. So what can we do? So the answer is to make use of enterprise architecture. Okay. And also involve other areas such as portfolio management. Okay. With enterprise architecture gives you that whole complete picture of what is IT, what is the existing landscape. It allows you to rationalize the IT portfolio. Okay. And it also allows or helps in your planning, because whatever plans come out on the business side or the IT side of things, they are able to identify what the impact would be. Okay, so business and IT planning now becomes a more streamlined process whereby both major parties in an organization are involved, which is both business and IT. And portfolio management is also crucial to maintain a view and understanding, a good understanding of the IT landscape. Okay, so so even down or going down to the project level. Okay, you are able to identify whether projects are aligned or not aligned to your strategies, whether your business or your IT strategy. You are able to do due diligence before the start of any project. For example, there were a lot of buzzwords such as AI, and now the latest is the metaverse and everything and so on. Okay, we before jumping into areas like that, you need to identify whether the technology makes sense and aligns with the business strategy of the organization. So if it does not align with that strategy, the organization actually needs to reject that plan. Okay. So doing all of these three is what will deliver sustainable results in an organization and also lead towards digital transformation success. Now, so what is enterprise architecture? Um, Basically, enterprise architecture, again, there are many definitions. So to just give you all a break from my voice, I found this video quite a number of years ago. It's actually available on YouTube, but I downloaded it to my laptop to ensure that it's much more smoother for all of you. And I love the way it talks about enterprise architecture because it really explains it in a very simple way. So let's go ahead and have a quick view of this video.
Why enterprise architecture? Well, here's a reason. Michael works at our company. Now, because of new business demands, he is in need of specific data. But his data is spread out over different applications. Exclusively for Michael, a developer writes a program that'll get his data from applications A, B, and C and write it to an Excel file in directory Y. That way, Michael will be able to read all the data in his spreadsheet and use it. Michael then realizes that he needs this on a daily basis. It would save a lot of time if the program ran automatically every day. Therefore, an infrastructure manager writes a batch job to set this up for him. Now, an application flow has been created, especially for Michael, which depends on a number of other applications. But Michael is not the only one who wants to improve his efficiency, so multiply this situation by a few thousand. We call this hairball architecture. Think of it as a huge hairball with fibers going in every possible direction. No one's keeping track of it, and no one has control over it. Now, imagine we have to replace a huge application because it's out of date and the supplier has said that in 2 years they'll stop the support. We have no idea what the application is connected to. It's an endless network of dependencies, which were all created one at a time. And each connection made sense at the time, but the total is such a chaotic situation that it's impossible to change one aspect without damaging something else. Now that's where enterprise architecture comes in. We have to deal with the IT landscape in such a way that people have the freedom to create improvements and that there's always room for innovation. Architecture makes sure that our IT landscape is robust, as well as flexible and efficient. This requires a process to keep things organized. For this reason, each new project needs a project start architecture. This is created by a project architect who is part of the project team. He or she writes a plan explaining how the total landscape will look when the project is complete. This plan includes the applications we've set up, what they do for the business, and the hardware they require. The project start architecture is evaluated by the architecture board. In this board, architects from every domain in our company work together and supervise the entire landscape. Summarized, enterprise architecture is about three things. We take a look at the existing situation. We help to develop and evaluate designs, and we create a sketch for the future so that everyone understands the direction we're heading. Architecture is about insight and knowledge. The world doesn't lend itself to being easily understood or pinned down in rules. There's no way we can know what the regulators are going to say to us 3 years from now. But what we can do is make choices which will ensure that we will be flexible, robust, and efficient in the future. Because in the end, it's all about maintaining our ability to change. That's why enterprise architecture.
All right. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And I hope that also explained to you, oops, sorry about that. Explain to you exactly what enterprise architecture is all about. Oops, sorry about it. Okay, so enterprise architecture is not exactly something new. Okay, it's also been around for quite a number of years. Okay, and so a lot of research organizations have, and also consulting firms have done a lot of research on it. And what happens is they have applied it to various use cases in organizations, which you can see over here in this slide on the left hand side. Okay, so whether it was applied to inventory or application management or portfolio management or even processes, what happens is they discovered that organizations which use enterprise architecture to run these projects all generated savings, okay, of various percentages. Okay, so enterprise architecture is not something new. It's already an established business practice. Okay, but a lot of organizations are either unaware of it or they are not practicing it at all. Okay, so how do you go about with doing enterprise architecture? Now, so in the short video just now, he was talking about a project architecture team, okay, which go ahead and starts drawing out architecture and so on and so forth. Okay, so but he also talked about how complex an environment could be, how an organization needs to be very agile in today's fast changing world. Okay, so what happens is the answer is to find a tool, okay, which helps you to do enterprise architecture and at the same time take all of the various pieces which is involved in running enterprise architecture and putting it on that single platform. So what happens is for Cloud Fission, when we talk to our clients, we talk about when you want to run a digital transformation program. Your digital transformation program needs an operating model to ensure that your program is a success. And this operating model can actually be taken and used not only for your digital transformation program, but for your organization or enterprise as a whole. Okay, so these are the components or the main areas which make up the operating model. Okay, and if you look at this very carefully, you will discover that they are made up of both business areas and IT areas in an organization. I'm going to be going into each of these areas in slightly more detail, but I'll also be providing additional information and materials about this if necessary. Okay, so just very quickly looking at the broad areas, we have business strategic planning, we have business IT relationship management, We have IT planning. So as you can see, there's two main areas for planning here on the business side and the IT side. We have enterprise architecture management. And under enterprise architecture management, what happens is you have four important portfolios, which basically govern application, information, technology, and service. Then, of course, you have the important financial management side and also the risk management side. So, if you look at this operating model, essentially, you have a good mixture of both business and IT together. All right. So very quickly, how do we go about doing it? Okay, so this is a model not created by Cloud Fission, but actually something which Gartner created. And when we looked at it, we discovered that, well, it works very well. It has all of the important components and pieces. And so we have taken on this model and we have adopted it with use with our clients. Okay, so first off, we start off with your ambition. Okay, what is the ambition of your enterprise? What are you trying to achieve with your digital transformation? With that information in mind, then you go on to the design, the delivery, scaling it up, and then refining it. Okay, so looking at each of these main areas in detail. Okay, and yes, and after you refine, guess what, you start all over again. All right. So first of all, ambition. These are just some of the activities which will be involved in the ambition stage. Okay, so as I said earlier on, in ambition, you define out what is your strategy, what is your goals. Okay, and you also need to evaluate the interest and excitement within your enterprise for it. Okay, in other words, if people, especially top management, is not on board, it's not going to work. Okay, now I'm not going to bother to read through because all of you are going to get the materials of this presentation after this, so you all are able to basically read the fine details over here. Okay, next you go on to the design phase. So in the design phase, what you'll need to do is you need to look at what are the options out there. What is your existing ecosystem? Because your digital transformation program might introduce new tools, or it might even just be further improving what you currently have in your ecosystem. So in either scenario, they are going to be dependencies. So you need to discover, is your current ecosystem or landscape ready for these dependencies? If it's not ready, what are the missing pieces and what do we need to do, okay, to put them in? At the same time, you also need to discover what disruptions would introducing a new technology, for example, bring into your organization. Okay, are there new technologies or innovation being discovered for the industry you're in? Maybe it's still currently in research phase. How fast is it going to be brought to market? Should you wait for it to first come to market before embarking on it? Okay, so these are all of the considerations you need to take into account. Okay, on the business side of things, is this going to introduce a new business or revenue model to your organization? Okay, do you need to build strategic partnerships with probably a supplier or another partner? Okay, and you also need to verify that the design you create meets your goals, and more importantly also meet what your customers are looking for. Then we come to the all important stage of delivery. Okay, now delivery is where you already where you might do a proof of concept. Okay, you will need to communicate the changes which your transformation will bring. You need to identify talents, skill sets, competency requirements. Make sure that your people, your employees are ready for it. Ensure that there are KPIs available so that you can measure the progress of not only your project but the progress of the delivery of your transformation, and that is delivering the results you expected. Then you move on to scaling. Now, Under scaling, okay, now I use a cloud icon over here because cloud is one of the most popular technologies, and a lot of organizations make use of cloud because cloud takes care of a lot of scaling requirements. Okay, but bear in mind that cloud is not just the only method. Okay, so in scaling, you have essentially you need to look at the commercial aspects of it. You need to clarify how your governance will shift, because for example, if you have been running on-prem, okay, on-prem all of this time, and if you move to the cloud, how is your operations models, how is your governance model going to change, and are your people ready for that change? Okay. And next, you go into the refinement stage. No design is perfect. Even when you come up with your initial design, you might discover as you move along in the stages of your transformation that you might need to refine your plan or accordingly. Okay, so assessment, optimization, and re-evaluation is going to be part and parcel of your transformation plan. And even if you are able to successfully complete your entire digital transformation plan, the world doesn't sit still, and neither should your organization. So your planning process essentially can take this model and reuse it over and over again. It's just that what your designs will be, what your delivery will be, will of course change according to the requirements of your business strategy. So who is involved? So this is a very high level organization chart. And if you look at it, if you look at who I have put in the organization chart, you'll see I talk about that the applications team needs to be part of it, that your data and analytics team needs to be part of it. Now, of course, your enterprise architecture needs to be part of it. Your infrastructure and operations need to be part of it. Your business teams, such as your procurement, vendor management, and so on, needs to be part of it. Your technical team needs to be part of it. Sounds pretty much like the entire organization, right? Okay, and yes, essentially, digital transformations which are successful are transformation programs which involve the entire organization. Everybody in the organization needs to be a part of it to ensure that it's a success. Okay, a lot of times when we talk about digital transformation programs, there's a lot of emphasis on the technology the program is introducing. But guess what? Technology is just a tool. In the end, you can have the best tool in the world, but if the people in the organization don't understand it, don't make use of it, and don't understand the processes required to use it, your transformation is not going to succeed. So again, how, as you can see that basically I'm talking that both business and IT needs to be a part of it. Business people need to share what their business strategy and plans are. IT needs to learn about business, need to understand what the business strategy is, because only in understanding what the business strategy is, then will they be able to identify tools or platforms which is able to support that business strategy. On the other hand, with their IT knowledge, IT people are able to possibly identify new business revenue models or channels which the business can adopt. So both needs to talk to each other, and at the same time, when they come up with the plan, they need to look at practically so many aspects: the financial aspect, the business aspect, the IT aspect. Okay, and as I said just now, for your EA, for your transformation model, all of those different categories and all of the different areas into it. So how do you manage all of it? Is there a tool which can help you bring all of this together, run it, manage it, execute it, get the results, evaluate, and refine? Well, the good news is there is. Okay, and the name of the tool is Alphabet. Now this is not Alphabet, Google Alphabet. Okay, it's spelled different. Okay, this is a tool from a company called Software AG out of Germany. Okay, so again, to give you guys a break from my boring voice, okay, I hope not, I have a short video over here which gives you a quick introduction or an overview of the Alphabet tool. And so you'll also be able to get a look at the interface it has. And as you watch the video, you're going to see that all of the different areas I'm talking about is available in the tool and how it's done.
Hi, I'm Andrew Pittendrich, and I work as a pre-sales consultant for the Alphabet Customer Center in Berlin, Germany. Today I'll be providing a short overview of the Alphabet Accelerator concept and how we use the accelerator as a starting point or springboard to help customers get to value as quickly as possible. So let's go. From the homepage, which is what you're currently seeing, we have the option to jump into any of the class explorers or views from the left-hand navigation menu. As a business user, we are also able to quickly create new objects which will launch the respective wizard that guides end users through the data input process for a specific class. A reminder that Alphabet is a data-driven solution, far more so than a graphical modeling tool. Also, we can jump to our recent objects to pick up where we left off. Understanding that architecture is a collaborative effort, we're also able to see if there are any collaborations, assignments, or workflows that need our attention, or if any of our watched objects have changed since the last time we checked. The primary reports supporting powerful analysis of the connected portfolios are called the business questions. Alphabet's business questions make enterprise architecture easier to understand. They are key decision-making assets in Alphabet that provide cross-portfolio insights and decision support. In the accelerator, you have a lot of business questions to choose from. And these business questions are organized according to the primary portfolio area they are addressing. Back in the tool, access to the business questions is from the top menu, where they are clustered across business, application, service, information, technology, and investment portfolios, plus a new entrant to support with the architecture part of Agile Development Practices, LPM, which stands for Lean Portfolio Management. Finally, for the C-level executives and business managers who just need an overview or snapshot of how things are, we have the Portfolio Dashboard, which provides some key portfolio figures, operational and capital expenditure numbers, and roadmaps. We also have the capability to adjust the analysis period in months for a shorter or longer term view. So for our overview today, we'll jump into a few of the business questions and look at how decision makers can use them in support of an application rationalization objective. Therefore, I'll be starting from the business portfolio, since IT initiatives should be prioritized according to the critical business needs or areas. I'll start by asking the question.
Okay, in the interest of time, unfortunately, because we don't have sufficient time, I'm going to skip the rest of this video.
Hi, I'm Andrew Pittendrich, and I work as a...
Apologies. Okay, so what I want to really identify here is, as Andrew mentioned earlier on, okay, under each of the portfolios, okay, what happens is everything is listed in from the business perspective. Okay, and so these are some of the questions available under the various portfolios. And as you can see, by providing the answers, okay, to each of these questions is how you'll be able to do your enterprise architecture and also all of your related business and IT planning. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go through each one of this. You're going to get a copy of this, but please feel free to reach out to me, okay, after this session, and if you have any questions about any of these areas. Okay, so just very quickly, okay, so Cloud Fission is basically a company where we are focusing on consulting services. We have more than 4 decades of experience in our team, okay, and what happens is our focus is really on helping organizations do things the correct way, the right way, helping organizations succeed. Okay, we are not saying that we are the ultimate experts. Okay, we do make mistakes, but essentially we look at ourselves as business partners to our clients. Okay, so we hope that you do not hesitate. Okay, and I saw this quote the other day and I thought that it's really great. Okay, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Okay, there's a lot of planning involved. Okay, but as you can see, when you take the right operating model and also the right processes and have a tool which can help you execute that operating model and processes, you are able to achieve what you're trying to do. Okay, so that's basically it. This is my contact information. Okay, so please feel free to reach out to me via email or texting or WhatsApping me, or I'm on WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Line. Go ahead and look for me. I'm available through all of these channels. Okay. Thank you very much for attending my session. I hope you guys really found it very fruitful. And please reach out to me. Jeremy, back to you.
Yep. Thank you so much, Mervin, for this insightful session. Personally, for me, I find it extremely useful, especially you start with, telling the problem, introducing EA, and not only that, you also provide practical steps that people can actually bring home with for them to start with their own initiatives. So with that, we do have some time for the Q&A session. So for those of you, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the question feature on the right-hand side of the screen to write down your questions. So right now, I do have 3 questions. Let me project them on a screen for you, Mervin.
Yes. Let me,
Stop sharing.
yes. Great.
Okay, so we have the first question. Right. So the first question is, what is your advice how to make your organization ready for DT and automation?
Right. So as I said, as I talked about in my presentation, okay, to before you can make your organization ready, how do you discover or how do you know what is the requirements to be ready? Okay, and that's where strategy comes in. Okay, your business strategy and your IT strategy needs to be in place first before any additional activities start to occur. Okay, so because what happens is when you have clearly identified and stated out your strategy, from your strategy would you be able to identify what are the requirements or the dependencies?
Yep.
All right.
So I think from what you shared earlier, especially the slides where you have 5 stages, right? I think that falls under the ambition, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. That's right, Jeremy.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope for attendee one, I hope your question is really answered. Then move on to the next question. Okay, so what are some of the common challenges or mistakes you have seen when companies implement EA in their organization?
Right. Okay. I didn't. I somehow I can't see that
Oh, one
question being
second.
displayed. Yeah.
Right
Okay.
now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So common challenges or mistakes. Okay. So what happens is this. Um, First of all, the organization needs to be very clear of what is EA. Okay. For me personally, EA can actually be summarized in one single word: governance. Okay, the main function of EA is actually to govern. Okay, but what is it exactly are they governing? So as you saw from my presentation earlier on, there are a few main broad areas, and really the goal of EA is to bring business and IT together. So a common mistake which a lot of organizations do is that they treat EA as an IT function,
Hmm.
and so the business people are not involved. Okay, so what happens is this: for a lot of EAs out there, a challenge which they face or a mistake which they do is that they often, when they communicate with the top management in an organization, they often try and teach them or tell them what EA is and what the IT aspect is. Now as a business person does not care about that. Okay, at the end of the day, all they want to see is results.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what happens is the biggest tip I can give an EA is when you talk to a business person, you need to focus on what are the business results they're trying to achieve.
Yep. Yep.
right? And that's when you'll get their buy-in, and your EA processes are all basically in the back end. And that's where again the platform comes in, right? A platform like Alphabet is, again, you don't need to teach a CIO or a CEO or what is Alphabet and how does it work and so on. No, it doesn't matter. That's why Alphabet shows you the business questions, and it's all from a business perspective and not IT.
Hmm.
Right?
Yep, yep. So what I'm hearing, what you're saying is basically you need to be able to communicate to the business stakeholders to make sure that you can actually get a buy-in from them. So that is
That's
one
right.
of the most common challenges you see with organizations, is it?
Yes.
I see.
Right?
Okay. Then we have two more questions to go. I think we still have time. Okay, let me
Okay.
just project this question. Okay, so digital transformation requires effective change management. How do you navigate and mitigate change resistance? I think this is something very common, especially when people are so used to the way that they work and they refuse
Yes.
to, no, I don't want to do this new thing and things like that. Yeah. So what
That's
are
right.
your advice for them?
Yes. So okay, I'm not going to repeat. Change management is, as Jeremy, as you mentioned, is a very popular topic. There used to be a booklet called "Who Moved My Cheese." All right. I don't know whether you've read it. If you read it, it's all essentially about people's natural resistance to change. Okay. And so one of the main ways to overcome that resistance is that people will only resist when they don't understand or they have fears. So again, that's where communication is really crucial. And that's why when I was showing the slide about who is going to be involved in your digital transformation plan, and essentially
Mm,
my answer was everyone. All
yeah.
right. Okay. So business strategies and IT strategies, okay, need to be communicated clearly to everyone in an organization. So if you have a digital transformation project, what are the goals of the digital transformation project? What are we doing to do? What are we going to be doing in it? That all needs to be shared. And so that's one very good way of ensuring that, of course, there's going to be a lot of detailed change management activities involved, right? If you're introducing a new tool, you're going to need to train people up on it. Some processes are going to be changed and so on. But to me, that's at the back. That comes later. First of
Mm,
all, people need to understand what's going on. Why are they doing it? Okay, then only they'll get their buy-in, and then the rest of those activities will go much more smoother.
yeah. Agree on that. Thank you for that, Mervin. Then we go to our last question. One second. Okay. So, any tips in the ambition part that we can include to excite the management?
Yeah. Okay. So
It's a
in
very
the
good question.
first, yes. Okay. So in the first picture, oh, sorry, not the first video I shared, he was talking about hairball architecture. All
Yeah.
right, which essentially talks about the complexities, or to put it very crudely, the mess in an organization. All right, so here's the thing. Okay, we need to be honest. These are the complexities and challenges which exist in an organization. So again, if you want to excite management, that's why I came up with that simple diagram of that three circles. Okay, that simplifies it. That, look, these are the three main areas which we require. Okay, and you cannot miss any one of them. Okay, so for management, again, if every time in or anytime you want to excite management, there's only one way to do it. You have to talk their language, which is business. Okay, at the end of the day, if you're a listed organization or a non-listed organization, there's only one thing which matters to them: the bottom line. Okay, the positive number in the profit column. Okay, so whatever you're trying to execute, it has to in the end come up to that delivery. Okay, if you are unable to show or trace back how what you are doing supports that, then actually you need to relook your strategy, because something might be wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
All right.
Yeah. So let me just, yeah, I don't think we have any other questions. Any last minute questions from anyone? No? Okay, then with that, Mervin, I'd like to thank you once again for joining us. I hope to see you again, hopefully one day in Malaysia or maybe Bangkok.
Yes.
Yes. So for the rest of you, just let me share my screen. So we do have an upcoming session. It's a panel discussion by these three experts within the automation domain. So I highly encourage all of you to join. So they will have the panel discussion on the topic about intelligent automation, hype or happening. All right. So this will happen in the next 15 minutes. So be sure to join in and I'll see you there. Okay. Thank you. Thanks,
All right.
Mervin.
Thanks a lot, folks. Bye.